but that's all.
You've only done mushrooms 2 times.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, she makes this art and has only done mushrooms 2 times. What is your excuse? Wow, that's amazing. Really?
But I'm connected.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but
Welcome to the Superhero Academy podcast. I'm your host, Marc Angelo. Hello, superheroes, and welcome to the Superhero Academy podcast, where my name is Marc Angelo Coppola. And if you haven't already guessed that, or you didn't already know, I don't even know how you got here. But that being said, my mission is simple: to make you a better storyteller. So I bring on amazing guests, amazing people, and I talk about storytelling. I talk about helping people solve what I call the digital cricket, which is you create content, you've got something you're passionate about, you tell stories online, and then all of a sudden you hear the crickets, you hear the feeling that sometimes so many people have. And what I know, and today's guest, because I've got a beautiful special guest today that I'm very excited to talk with, is really finding a way to make art, your art, whatever that is, whether that be drawing, whether that be singing, whether that be, I don't know, acro yoga, whatever your art is, how do you take that and make it your living? And so I've got my friend Sarah here today, who is an amazing artist. Thank you so much for joining me. She's a little bit nervous because this is her first podcast, right?
yes.
And often, you know, even if you have done interviews or other things, I'm assuming they're generally in French.
Yeah.
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 Well, so why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and actually, I'll preface this by saying she's fucking awesome. Like, she's really, really fucking good. Her art is going, I mean, consistently viral. People talk to me about your art all the time. And they're like, oh my God, I actually, like, so I follow her account.
I know.
It's so funny how many times, like, people have shown me your account or been like,
Before?
oh, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Before I had never met you. And before, I guess, Kevin had introduced us or whatever, I had seen your art and people had talked to me about your art many, many times over and referenced it. Because I think you're
I'm
tapping
still
into...
overwhelmed by all of that attention, actually.
Well, let's talk about that, because I think your art is obviously speaking to a lot of people. I would assume that it speaks a lot to women specifically. Like, must be a ton of women that are very, very into your art. But I think both men and women really resonate with it, because it's
more and more men.
More and more
are
men
coming to
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's got a very kind of raw, sexual kind of nature to it. And I mean, I love that you take your art and you turn it into tattoos, canvases, wood art, all kinds of stuff. So I want to hear a little bit about you, your journey. I mean, you know, tell me about who you are, why you do what you do, and when did you start in being an artist?
When did I start being an artist?
Yeah.
Well, I've been drawing, painting, and doing my art since I was like 2 years old, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember my parents like bought me like a little canvas.
Okay.
And I was always drawing, always drawing. I went to school in high school in art. I was doing like photography, painting, vitrail.
Okay. Yeah, being making glass art.
Yeah, exactly. And I went to art in Cégep too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Cégep, for those who don't know or from America, it's basically, we have a transition between high school and college, where instead of doing, we do 5 years of high school and 3 years of college rather than 6 years of high school and 4 years of college. Yeah, so Cégep is kind of like this transitory system that we have in Quebec here.
Yeah. So I was really into art, and my path really like went another way.
Okay.
Between like 5 years, I went into fashion.
Okay.
So I was a manager for Aldo shoes.
Oh,
for like 6 years. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was always on makeup and everything, and super organized, and
a completely different human.
Yeah, completely like in another life. Yeah.
Yeah. See, in my world, so Sarah and I have met only recently. I mean, I say recently, a few months ago, maybe. at the farm because we were introduced by a friend in common, Kevin Oroz, who's a awesome men's coach, just general coach in general, kind of spiritual guide. He has a podcast himself, which I've been on before. Really cool. It's just somebody I met in Costa Rica as well. Actually, he came.
He was there.
He came to one of my masterminds in Costa Rica. That's where I met him. Him and his brothers, and their kind of crew was. I got introduced to the San Diego kind of Encinitas crew. That's what he was a part of when I met him. But he introduced me to you. But at the same time, I had seen your art. I don't know.
He told me, like, you need to know this guy. I'm like, okay. If someone told me that, okay, I'm going directly there.
Yeah, and then so you came out to the farm, and that was, I think instantly I feel like I've known you for a long time.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, like it's a mutual feeling, right? Like sometimes you meet people and it's like, oh wow, you're part of my tribe, like you're a soul family.
Exactly.
And I think we both.
The moment I sit at the table, I was like, okay, I'm home. Yeah, it's family.
I remember you coming. I remember kind of the feeling. It's early spring, so everything at the farm is still like, okay, we're just getting going. Yeah. It's a new season with new characters and new faces kind of showing up for the first time. I don't want to say showing up, but like participating for, full time for the first time. And then you just showed up and, very quickly you were
bare feet,
just getting like integrated into nature is the easiest way to say it. Like you were part of the farm. You weren't at the farm. You were in the farm.
Exactly. I slept there the first night.
Yes, it's true. Yeah, because you recently bought a Westphalia and stuff. Yeah. So, that in and of itself, I think says so much about like why I feel connected to you, maybe why, I resonate with you in those ways. But, okay, so you started drawing when you were young.
Yep.
You went to school for it. You went in fashion. But at some point, something happens, right? Like, at some point, you're like, okay, I'm going to develop.
I was in Aldo, managing stores, and I studied marketing, fashion marketing at La Salle. Like,
which my mom studied. Yeah,
your mom?
My mom actually studied fashion marketing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it's not enough creativity. So I went to fashion design, and there I finished all my school. I went to I was a fashion designer for shoes for Steve Madden for like 3 years almost.
Wow.
Yeah, and at that time I had my boss who was my mentor. He was Italian. I really liked him. Donato, Michel.
Beautiful.
I love that man.
Just
so
charming you.
Yeah. No, but we had a real chemistry, and he was really like a mentor, and he really loved me, and I had a baby, my son. When I came back, I was there, and just my flame was getting like weaker and weaker. And one time he said to me, even if he really liked me and he had difficulty to replace me when I was pregnant and everything, at that time he told me, you need to go. Not that he was firing me.
No, he could see that your passion wasn't there.
If you don't go, you're gonna end up like me, and your flame is gonna be like.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he basically like literally told you to be an Esprit Libre.
Yeah.
Pun intended. By
exactly,
the way.
and at that time I was beginning to tattoo a bit.
Yeah.
Like in my living room downstairs.
Okay.
In a little room. And
Did you practice on yourself first?
Yes.
Okay. So what's your first, like, do you have like tattoos on your
I have some tattoos, but my first tattoo was on a friend.
Really?
Yeah, but I can't show that.
That's okay. I'm not going to ask.
Iron Man, actually.
Really?
Iron Man.
A little Iron Man. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not my style, but yeah.
Yeah.
So at that time I was beginning to tattoo, and he was like, your tattoo like work. If you stick to it 100%, it's gonna work. If you do it half, 50%, your attention won't be directly on it, so it won't work. But if you go, for sure, you have all the chance.
So he was really egging you on to like just go for it full stop.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And at that time, I had like a boss that wasn't really like a bigger boss.
Yeah.
I really hated her.
You could say that now.
Yeah.
You're liberated.
Exactly. And yeah, she was so superficial, and she was so, I don't know. not really authentic. And one time I was in front of her and I saw her and I was like, yeah, no, I can't anymore. And the day after I left.
Yeah. Okay. So you start by making Iron Man tattoos, but obviously, you know, so the name of your account, by the way, for those who speak English, Les Esprits Libres means the free spirit.
Yeah.
Or the free spirits in plural, in fact.
It was plural because I didn't know why, but I knew that someday, because I didn't want it to be just me.
Yes.
It was for everyone.
Well, I think your art does that. Like, I think that's what's beautiful about, like, your style of art is that, you know, the men and women that are portrayed here, or even the animals and all the different things that are portrayed here, it feels like it's speaking to many people. And many people resonate with the message that the art itself invokes, but also the captions, also like what you put behind it. And then the mix between that and your lifestyle, like what you do and who you are, is also very congruent. Yeah. Like that's how I feel about it, right? But like the art itself is obviously a very particular style. Like, I mean, it's literally all over you, but it's but also, no, but also like even in what you're seeing here, like this is very far from an Iron Man. Like if somebody came up to you today and said, "Hey, I want an Iron Man," you're not really doing it. So,
but at first, I really like as any artist.
Yeah,
I was like, if you go back, like really
let me
earlier,
keep going. Yeah.
I was just trying because I was trying to get to be a tattoo artist. I didn't want it to like do all of those illustrations. I was just like making some drawings and for people that will love to get tattoo. And at first I was so scared. That's crazy how I was scared because you know the imposter syndrome.
Syndrome, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was like, who the hell will want to have a tattoo by me? Why? Why someone will come to see me for my heart? Yeah.
Interesting.
So I was so scared to make the jump.
So how long ago was that?
5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Only 5 years.
Yeah, only 5 years.
Wow. So you did your first tattoo 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But you had drawn in this style before? Like when you were drawing, when you were like doing your art before that, right? Like even when you went to LaSalle or whatever it was, you must have been drawing every once in a while in a journal or very little?
Very little. The moment I was in fashion, I really was disconnected from myself.
See, here I can start to see the art being a little bit different. It's still got a similar style, but this is definitely more...
But I had a Harley Davidson there. I had my...
You were just a different human.
Yeah.
You look like a different human, I'll tell you that.
I know. But I just had my motorcycle license, and I was like in the tattoo world, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do drawings around motorcycle.
It's still very black and white, though.
Yeah, always.
You've always loved the black and white vibe.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate. It's actually my favorite. I prefer black and white tattoos in general. But it's still, like, your style is there. Like, it's in it to some degree. Obviously, you know, now there's less skulls and like, all-seeing eyes. But the style is still there. Like, I could still see the remnants of that style.
Yeah, but it came with my kind of spiritual awakening.
But did you just have this God-given talent that you're just like that good at drawing? Like, did you like?
Yeah, I hate to say that, but yeah.
No, but I mean, you have to have. Like, come on, like, there's no.
I was always good, but in every, it's kind of crazy to say that, but every time I touch something that I have a link with art, it works.
So as long as there was an artistic kind of feel to it, it always did
and that my heart is like, oh, yeah, try it. It's going to work.
Well, I find your geometry is phenomenal, right? Like, and I've watched you draw at the farm. Like, I've watched you do some where you're taking, like, different pieces and you're kind of putting in the background, fading it, and then kind of tracing with it. Yeah. But I can imagine you also do a lot of freehand, right? Like, just purely drawing. And it's just like you've got a clear...
Underbody is really nice.
Yeah.
As a tattoo?
Yes.
I did one for my friend here. It was
just
like,
pure freehand.
Yeah. With flower and everything. It was so fun to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so fun. Like, I find it, but it's like, there's something about knowing, like, art has the kind of art you're doing has some element of, like, the need to understand where a line needs to be, where it needs to end, where how much spacing things need to have. Like, there is geometry in art.
Yeah.
And I feel like you know, some people put a lot of time and energy like learning a craft. It feels like you just have this natural talent for that.
Yeah, but I have the natural talent, but I went to school.
You also studied it.
Yeah, exactly. So the geometry and everything.
Were you learning that in like on canvases and painting first?
In drawing.
It was always drawing.
Yeah, drawing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pen and pencil? Pen or pencil? Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I really love to do clay too. The movement, the hand, and like
the texture, the feeling of it.
I love the texture.
Mm.
Getting dirty.
Yeah.
With hands. Yeah.
Well, I've watched you obviously do it on wood. You made a sign for Valhalla. You
Recently, I've been working with matières premières.
Yeah, primary materials. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really love to get back to that
Back
kind
to nature.
of
Yeah, something more like more real, tangible.
Yeah, raw and
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And with wood, it's really nice because you have the smell too.
Yes.
All those different types of woods, and when you burn it, there's like a bit like incense.
Yeah, there's a vibe to it. The vibe. I watched you do it. There is really a vibe to what you're doing and when you're doing it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And so, what's your like secret for getting like? Because you make a lot of art. Like you make a lot of art. That's a really volume of work. What's your secret to staying consistent? And like, is it you have like a rule where you draw every day?
No, I have no rules.
No rules.
I can't work with rules.
So you just draw whenever you feel like it.
Yeah. Well, people doesn't know that, but my Instagram and all my work and my drawings, it's like, you know, a lot of people write in journals, but this is my journals. So if you want to know what's happening in my life, just look at my drawings. And I think that's why people are like compelled to come and look at my heart.
How about this? I want you to give me a story behind a piece that you've done recently.
Okay.
Because I'm a story guy, and you know this.
Yeah, I know.
Right? I'm a story guy. So just pick a piece here, recent piece. Is there one that speaks more to you? That you feel like there's like a real story that you'd want to tell?
Wait, get down.
A little bit further.
Choose one. You choose.
I mean, like this one I recognize as this one for me, for example, I saw an art piece like this at Burning Man.
Yeah, exactly. That was my inspiration.
So your inspiration was the Burning Man piece. Yeah. But then you added obviously the roots and some of the different pieces, right? So so some things are inspired obviously by things you see, places you go, right? You're like we were joking about this before the podcast, but it's like I feel like you're always out in nature somewhere.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's for sure.
There's definitely obviously a lot of sexual, you know, themes. Like obviously this is very, very sexual in nature. Yeah. I mean, would you say that...
But I'm passionate about connections.
Yes.
And relationships and love and...
I'm just going to ask you to keep the mic with you. Yeah, just because... No, don't be. We'll hear you better. See, it's funny that every once in a while there's a little bit of color.
Yeah.
And but I like the black and white better, I'm not going to lie. Although people responded really well to the color too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like a surprise.
Yes.
And it's a surprise for me too, so...
Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
Fair.
Like this one.
Which one? This one?
No, the one... Just
this one?
Yeah, this one. Like this one, the story beside it is one of my lover.
Okay.
He makes flutes.
Okay.
Native American style of flutes. And that's just a moment of intimacy between me and him. He was playing the flute and I was dancing. And
so you decided to draw that.
Just that moment.
Yeah. So this is really a representation of you.
Yeah.
In your like.
Well, the woman in almost all my drawings is like you. My alter ego. Yeah.
Does she have a name?
No.
No.
No. maybe you can name her.
She's a free spirit. She's a free spirit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Interesting. I love that. I really love. I find it so amazing. Like I feel like I have no artistic talent in this way. Like my art is with words. My art is storytelling. Yeah. And my art is understanding cameras. My art is understanding like other things. Where like when you're doing your art, do you feel now that it's your career more of a pressure to like do more or to create more?
Well, at one point sometimes.
Yes.
but I don't go there.
Why? What happens when you go there?
Well, I don't. I lose the spark,
Mm.
and it won't stick because, you know, when you draw, I don't know. For me, when I draw, it's like I have that vision. I live that moment. I have that vision. The image is there. I draw it, and at one point, whoop, it just clicked inside of me. So I know when it's right or not.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I really need to feel like it's kind of like a meditation when I draw. So when it clicked, I'm there. It can go. But if it's not made from here,
yeah,
I won't just have the impulse to do it. I need to wait for the impulse.
I hear you. What would you say helps the impulse? How do you, like, is there something, like, is there a way that you could,
Emotions.
What you're basically saying is that you're waiting for the flow state of sorts.
Yeah.
Both to draw, but also the flow state of inspiration where your emotions are flowing, you know, or lining up, let's say like chakras behind you or whatever.
Yeah. But I don't think about it. That's the thing.
So you feel it.
Yeah. The moment I think about it, it won't work. Like when even for the tattooing, for my clients, and a lot of my clients, like new clients, doesn't really like that because they don't know me at first.
Yeah.
But after that, they're used to it.
Yeah.
But I don't draw before. Like I can't. I tell them, if you come see me, I won't draw anything until we are face to face and I can feel your energy. So if I do it before, first, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna like procrastinating and then just I don't wanna do it. Yeah, that's true. And it won't work.
Yeah.
The drawing would not be satisfying for the other person or anything. I'm not there.
But you are drawing in certain cases beforehand and then putting a stencil and then using it. But while they're in your presence.
Yeah, exactly.
They have to be there.
Yeah. So I can feel their energy and the flow will just come. And usually it's working. Almost always. Like.
And so how did you, like, I mean, beyond just consistently posting art, your Instagram is doing incredibly well. I would say that a lot of people who are great artists are not doing as well on Instagram as you are. How?
Yeah, that's why I said I'm overwhelmed.
But can you explain why you think that happened?
I think it's because I don't think about it. You
just don't care.
Yeah.
You don't give a fuck about Instagram, so that's why it fucking works. Instagram. I honestly believe you. Yeah.
Because I have a friend who wrote to me for the exact same question. He was like, I'm sticking to a certain number of followers. Do you have like a tip? I'm like,
no.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
But you use hashtags and certain things.
Yeah, at first. But in the beginning, like I was really like resisting using Instagram because I really don't like all the social media. And like if it didn't exist, I wouldn't have a phone and I would just like be in the forest always. But for my work, I need to have it.
Well, it's definitely helpful for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, just even coordinating with people or communicating, obviously people see your art. They're like, I would love that piece on my thigh or wherever, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But at first I was resisting it. And after a moment, I was still posting some of my art and everything. And people were beginning to like write to me and just tell me that it was good for their heart to see my work and that it was like making them evolve and growth and everything. And I was like I was receiving all that love and I was like, yeah, okay. Oh, maybe it's working. Maybe like it serves something.
Well, it's definitely serving something.
Yeah. At first I was like, okay.
Well, a lot of people share it.
I know.
I've seen people
for real, every day I receive so much beautiful message and love and I'm so grateful.
I find that so fascinating. Yeah. I find it I think what's really fascinating about you is that you're just genuinely in that flow state. Because I speak to some artists, like, look, one of my best friends is an artist. His name's Germ. But he tries harder than you do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what, like, it's not that he doesn't, I'm not saying he works harder than you do. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm saying he's like, he cares about the response more than you do. And he definitely moves, like he paints what he wants to paint when he wants to paint it. Like you couldn't commission him to do anything. I've asked him for literally months now to paint one painting of this character. It's called the Corporate Ladder Wolf that he invented. It's his character. I just find it absolutely hilarious. I think it's one of the funniest characters because what he does is he plays that character anytime he has to like sell his art.
Oh yeah.
He has like this little like stick. It's like a paper. It's like a cardboard wolf that looks like very Japanese in nature, kind of like Japanese cartoon style in nature.
Yeah.
And he speaks in this like, oh, you have to get the queen's face, Jim. You know?
Oh
what
yeah,
I mean? Like,
I saw.
Yeah, it's hilarious, and I find it so funny because I think I resonate with it because I think a lot of my own art is held back by the fact that I'm having to take part of my art and turn it into a way of earning a living. Yeah, and you're doing the same thing. Like realistically, you're creating art. People see it. They're interested. They like you. They like your art. And they're saying, I want that somewhere on my body. Or I want that on a canvas or a t-shirt or whatever other thing. But I'm sure that the canvases and t-shirts are a portion of your... Yeah, it's a smaller portion of what your actual income, right? So your real income is coming from the fact that somebody sees your art, they feel moved by it, and then they say, I'd love a tattoo or whatever it is. Yeah. Great. He is also pushing in that way, and so am I, but I don't feel like I have the same flow. Like I just can't... It's almost like I don't... Maybe the better way of saying it is I don't trust it.
Your flow?
I trust my flow, but I don't trust that it's going to support the lifestyle or give me enough resource to do the things that I want to accomplish.
Yeah, but that's just a fear.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I know that it would be enough for me to live my life. I don't know that I would be able to earn enough extra income to then do things like the farm and the other things that I'm doing, which cost an enormous amount of money and are like people really don't understand like how much time, energy, resource like it really takes to do some of these things. Yeah. But the way I see it is I don't see it as a cost, I see it as an investment because every time I go to the farm, it's better. Like literally every single time, it's like, wow, this is getting better and better and better and better. And it's getting more and more attractive in every single way. Yeah. And I feel like it's stewarding a space that for me is like my dream. It's like a long-term version of art. Yeah. But I try way harder than you do.
Yeah, but the thing is, at first, when I was drawing, sometimes I would check, oh, okay, so this drawing is more popular. I'm going to do more like this and style. Everything. Yeah, that style. But every time I would go in that kind of direction, I would get lost. I would get lost, and the people that was coming to me wouldn't be the good person, the good people for me. So the moment I really get into my heart and I stay there and I anchor there, the people that are coming to me, like my clients and everything, I choose them like in the flow. Like I don't have any waiting list. I'm like, okay, I have a moment there that is free. Who's there? Okay, this one.
Wow. Yeah. So you just go straight into the DMs and say who messaged me recently and who do I feel called to
exactly. And every time that I go there, there's something, an exchange, a creative flow that is there that is perfect. It's like arranged by God.
But that's really, really brave of you. And I say that's really brave of you because you also have a child. Yeah. Meaning, you have responsibilities. You're a single mom. I mean, that's not easy to just say, hey, I'm going to trust that all my bills are going to get paid, that all the everything's going to work out. And like, I trust that all my bills are going to get paid too. I just don't know that I don't know. Well, I think it actually boils back to the piece of advice that Italian man told you. Yeah. Which is that unless you're 100% committed, it's actually not going to work. Yeah, exactly. So the same is true of like if I quit everything and I only did my podcast, I would somehow find a way to make a living.
What's the phrase? There's a phrase like that, like where your mental or energy goes. No, it's
where your attention grows.
And the
energy flows. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. But that's true.
Oh, 100%
and that's
true.
like exactly my point and how I live my life. And I have trust and faith that the universe supports me. Always.
I think it is supporting you. Yeah. I mean, like clearly the energy, both in your art, but also in the response to your art is there. And there's a reason for that. And I think it's like my experience is in the way that you just energetically show up. Like, I think it's like you live your art. That's the best way to say it. Like, when I'm around you, and I'd say something similar about Bo, by the way, one of our friends, Bo, you know, the energy that you exude, it's like I feel seen in a different way by you than I do by others, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And because of that, I give you a different energy as well. Like, it's like I know you wouldn't accept anything less from me.
Exactly. So sometimes we don't talk.
Yes, exactly. I know that you wouldn't accept anything less than me showing up in a particular way.
Exactly.
And being vulnerable in a particular way. Because there's an element of vulnerability in it. Yeah. But that translates to the experience that I think I would imagine people have getting a tattoo from you or when they experience your art. Yeah. Because when I see your art, it's funny, when I see your art, I just think of you. I don't get super lost in the art every time. I just think, oh, I wonder how Sarah's doing.
Yeah,
like,
that's
you know
why,
I mean?
Because it's my journal. But you feel it because you're.
I feel it because I know you, and I've met you, and I've been able to.
Maybe because you're sensible too.
Maybe.
Because I feel that you're really a sensible person, man.
More than people would think.
Yeah.
I think more than like this gives me or says the story of.
People can't feel your energy. Yeah.
They can sometimes in the same way that they feel your energy.
Yeah.
Right? But I think that there's these energy blocks behind what I'm doing. And I think it's because I'm too much in my, like you, as you said right before we started this podcast, sometimes it's just too much in my head.
Yeah.
And it's because
I can see it in your body. You're like.
Yes. Yeah. And you can see.
I want to just like.
Well, and you'll ask me about it. Like we've been at the farm a couple of times where you'll be like, what's going on in your mind? Because you could see that I'm a million miles away all of a sudden.
Exactly.
And.
You're not present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you say that presence is probably the thing that is like the most consistent component of how you continue to stay in your let's say your art channel? Yeah. Is just being as present as possible every day?
Every day. Yeah. I'm trying to be as present to my breath, to my soul, to my heart, as much as I can.
See, I feel like I'm so bad at that. Like truly, I don't think I'm very good at being that present. I'm very good. Better way of saying it, I'm very comfortable at going far into the future and then orchestrating back to the present moment. Yeah. Where when I'm in a present moment, I'm actually pretty good at it. Like I'm pretty good at being present when it's time for me to be present. Yeah. But in other moments, I kind of disconnect in some ways. And I use studying other things as a way of disconnecting. Like I use YouTube and studying random science geeky stuff or studying random things as a way. But
we all does it.
We all have that. Yeah, of course. We all have some outlet of some kind. For some people, it's music. Other people, it's poetry.
It's always going to be like that. Like it's a defense mechanism to like really.
Yes, and every once in a while we just want to shut off our brain or emotions or go in one way or the other.
Because being present really in the moment is being present with your emotion and with all your layers that maybe you don't want to see and feel.
Yes.
Be there with. That's why we just.
Well, we stay busy.
Yeah, we stay busy. Exactly. But we get really tired.
Yes, which is how I feel today to some degree. Yeah. I feel like I know where my passion is in certain moments, but I get lost in justifying my way. It's like I spend a lot of time trying to go from A to B, but often going through C. Yeah. That happens to me a lot.
Yeah. But it's the moment you make the choice. You have to make the choice. It's like an anchored choice, soul choice, to be really there and to go in that direction. And everything's gonna flow after that. That's the thing, but it's really trusting that if you take that leap of faith of just throwing yourself out of the,
yeah,
you're on top of the mountain.
Yeah,
and just
jumping
yourself
off the edge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the moment you take, just before, it's the
But I feel like I've done some real big leaps of faith. Like the farm is a leap of faith.
I think during all your life, you have to make big leap of faith.
Over and over and over again. Yeah, I've done a couple. Like I've done a lot. Like compared to most people, I've done a lot.
I read a phrase that says like the longest road for a man was to hit the mind to the heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it can take all life.
Yeah.
To go from there to there.
Yeah.
But it's the most precious.
So what would you say, like what's your, what would you say is my leap of faith right now? Like if you had to like just like paint upon me.
To just be.
You think so?
Yeah. To just be. You want to tell stories? Tell stories. Like I said earlier, like you talk like telling stories. Mm-hmm. But where are the real stories?
Yeah.
I love to see you talk and when you're at the farm and you're explaining your passion, your projects, and
yeah.
Like
I think it comes out in the podcast.
Yeah.
In this state, I think I'm telling stories. Sometimes when I'm speaking with somebody else, it's less me telling stories, me more just digging or kind of conversating. But when I'm alone, or I say alone, like Kyler's here behind the camera, but the when I'm doing a solo cast and I just pick topics and I just go down the rabbit holes of those topics, I think that does come through.
I saw a video of you. You were talking about I don't know, like light and everything.
Oh,
and you were really funny. This is not a subject that really interests me.
No, sure.
But I was like, oh, that's nice. And I listened to all of it.
Interesting.
See?
Just because of my passion.
You were so passionate. But that's what I like about people. When people are super passionate and all their heart is there, it's like...
It's funny because I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
Regardless of topic.
Mm-hmm.
What people love is to see other people's passion on display.
Exactly.
And
the moment you're too much in your mind and you're too much in organizing everything and just like you're not there. That's why the people lose interest sometimes.
Yeah. I just find it hard to balance between the most passionate portion of what I do and then the building portion of what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of like the challenge. Like there's certain moments, like for example, every spring, I'm super passionate at the farm because it's like there's all the possibilities. Like we could do this project and that project and the other project.
But it's the beginning of a cycle.
It's the beginning of a cycle. It's spring cycle.
Sprinkle.
Well, yeah. No, I mean it is though, right? Like in a weird way, it is.
Yeah.
It is an exuding energy and force where the sun is starting to grow. Mm-hmm. Everything in life, particularly in Canada, is growing in a very particular way, and so you definitely feel a resurgence of energy and this kind of growing feeling. Mm-hmm. But as summer approaches, like literally as it gets to peak summer, I always have like a little bit of a woo, okay. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's because now I'm in the completion phase. Like I have to like start to finish projects that I already started. So I've already mind mapped them. Like I already picked the trees that we were going to planted the trees, did some of the things. And now I'm in maintenance mode where I literally like most of the work in July is cutting weeds and like making paths and then making sure that the construction we're doing is working. That is very farm related, but even when it comes to like the consulting work that I do, helping people tell stories and brand work, a lot of that, in summer, it's also harder for me to do anything because everyone's like, oh, I'm on vacation, or, oh, there was the 4th of July, or was this, that. Like, there's always like these interruptions to the flow.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to say it. So there's always kind of this period of time where everything feels like, and I feel a little more stuck. And then I feel behind on my own stuff. And what one of my coaches, a really good friend of mine, his name's Phil. He always talks to me about like, there's certain things that have to become non-negotiable. And once they become non-negotiable, you become much better at really doing what you want to do. Right. And so for me, what became non-negotiable in the last year was working out every day. Yeah. And that had a massive impact.
That's so good.
Yes.
Like
it had a massive impact.
Oh, can I say
chapeau in French.
I'm seeing all your like motivation. I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
Well, I think a lot of people were deeply inspired by that.
Yeah.
And like people like it's weird because like I went, you know, I'm walking the streets sometimes, like, or I was going to soccer or whatever, and somebody sees me and they're like, I haven't seen them in years. I don't remember their name, but they remember me. And they're like, man, I've been seeing your workout stories. And I'm like, man, over the last 10 years of all the things that you've seen, that's what you pointed out. Like, I work out. Like, it's so crazy to me. You know what I mean? But like, but it really is something that everyone relates to in a very different way. Whereas sometimes when I talk about the farm or when I talk about storytelling or I talk about certain other things, not everyone relates.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the difference with your art, is that everyone relates to a man and a woman looking like they're falling in love in an art piece. Like everyone relates to...
But I think that's the fact, because since it's my journal, my inspiration comes from emotion and moments that I live. Like the world is vibration, you know.
Yeah.
So I put all my heart there, my soul is there, everything. There is a vibration. So when people look at it, it's like, phew, they're getting
they're receiving the vibration through the screen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The energy. And since it's something from my life, from my day-to-day, from my relationship to people, from the love I'm living, from my experience, well, people can relate.
Yeah, I've always find that so funny, because I feel like I say this often, and sometimes I'm sad about it, and sometimes it's true and sometimes it's not. And what I say is that I say when you're first starting, nobody cares about you specifically. What they care about is what you can offer them. And over time, once your brand grows, then they start to care about you, the artist behind it, or whatever it is, right? And I say artist, but it could be entrepreneur or whatever it is behind it. But I think what you're saying is kind of the opposite, which realistically, you're kind of right. The only difference is that when I'm advising people, it's hard for me to say, put 100% of your heart into it, because that's not a strategy that I can just teach you.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
But that's the point of being a leader.
Well,
because
yes,
making people, like, you know, the guru.
Yeah.
Like,
yes,
if you're a good guru, you don't have any followers.
True.
Because you make them learn that they can be sovereign. And
they don't need to follow you.
Yeah, exactly.
Ironically, that still leads to them following you.
Yeah.
That's the ironic piece. Yeah, I think I've gotten better, a lot better at that. I think when I originally started, I've had like this wave in my timeline where when I originally started the farm, it was like this surgence of energy around me and also the people around me. We were all awakening in a very beautiful way. Yeah. So it's partially me, but it was also partially them, right? And for different reasons, different people followed us and followed the journey. And it made this wave that I cannot fully explain. And then there was like this down period. There was this like period of time where we were just trying too hard.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to say it.
But it's cycles.
Yes. And now we're coming back on that. Yeah. And I think it's partially because my own energy has like re-involved itself. And only over the last 2-3 weeks has it like kind of like, I'm like, okay, I need it, whatever. Yeah. But last week I went, like, luckily, we're Wednesday today, but when I went on Saturday and even Sunday, like my energy was there again. I was like, okay, I wasn't in full strength, but it was coming. Like I'd gone through the worst of the summer dip, let's say, the summer blues. Yeah. Where I feel like I can kind of resurge and end the season strong. But
the thing is, we grew up in a capitalist society.
Totally.
Where performance, we have to work, we have to be,
Yeah.
Like, the more and more you do, the more you get, But that's a problem. Because we live in an environment, we live close to nature that have cycles, and animals follow cycles. There's spring, summer, winter, but us human living there in that kind of society, we just learn to not be like connected to
our cycles.
Yeah, and
we're expected to show up 9 to 5 every day.
Exactly. So we are out of alignment from our instinctual nature.
Yeah.
But what does it bring? So you're in the low part and you think it's not normal, but it's normal.
Well, no, I think it's normal.
But
I accept it much more now. I do accept it much more. I do. I hear what you're saying, and because I didn't before. I would just like power through, like, how do I get more caffeine in the body? Like, how do I like super hack and charge it in there? Or maybe I take, like whatever, like a microdose, and now I'll microdose for 7 days. Now bring me back up, And no, for real, like, of course. You take microdoses, it can definitely
I tried
re-spark.
sometimes.
Yeah, it depends. I think it works differently for different people. But for me, it could definitely like bang, bring me.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. It's like MDMA without the down. There's a piece of it that well, fine, but okay, which is just fucking wow. First of all, that's amazing. But you've done mushrooms and all those things, obviously.
2 times maybe.
Really?
But I was I was smoking a lot of weed when I was a teenager. But that's all.
You've only done mushrooms 2 times.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, she makes this art, and it's only done mushrooms 2 times. What is your excuse? Wow, that's amazing. Really?
But I'm connected.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but, I see plant medicine is good, but I see that.
Was there something in your life that was like this? Like, were your parents really connected or outdoorsy?
Yeah.
So
well, my father is a Moroccan. He's a Berber, qu'on appelle, Amazigh, and he was super spiritual.
Okay.
Like, I remember being like 7 years old in no mountain, and there was like a ritual of medicine man trying to heal my grandfather. Like, I've been around that kind of stuff. My mother is super spiritual too.
Where was those ceremonies happening? Like in Morocco?
In Morocco. Like, I remember that.
Wow.
Yeah. And my mom has been really,
And so what did they do for a living, if you don't mind me? Like,
well, my father is an entrepreneur.
Okay.
Was he had like a transformation de légumes.
You're transforming vegetables, yeah.
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 And bringing them to a restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah, in Montreal.
Beautiful.
He really worked with the Italian cafe.
Perfect.
He
My
loved
kind
the
of man.
Italian.
My kind of man. Yeah.
And my mom was a nurse.
Okay.
Yeah, and an osteopath.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Osteopath. Yeah. Okay. So you've got like a sense of care and a sense of spirituality from your upbringing to some degree.
Yeah.
Were there other inspirations? Like, is there other artists that you look at and you're like, wow, like they changed your life? Was there, for me, for example, there's certain YouTubers that fully changed my life. Like the way that they create and tell stories changed my life.
Yeah.
Would you say you have those?
Well, for that, I have a lot of artists that I follow that I really love. Like Alex Gray. I just.
Of course. Yes.
It's crazy.
Sure.
Yeah. But all those kind of. But I remember in my fashion design class, one of my teachers, she always said that to keep the inspiration, you need to find your inspiration elsewhere from, like, people. You need to go in nature, architecture.
Architecture, yeah.
That's where you're gonna always keep flowing.
So would you say nature is the number one artist that you're inspired by?
Nature and what I observe, because since I always draw about relationships and people and love, it's just my observation of how people relate, how people love, how people, I really love to observe people. Like, I remember since I was really young, you noticed, I know.
I have noticed. And I've noticed.
I know, I'm sitting there, I'm just looking at you.
You're very calm. You're very, very calm. Like you're very, easiest way to say it is that you're not, it's like you're less, it's like you associate less to the human nature of things and you associate more to the nature of things.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're part wild. Like you couldn't, and you were saying, you said this earlier, I couldn't put you in a box, and that's true. There's no, you really embody the sense of wild that I think a lot of people long for, but they just don't have the courage to do. Mm-hmm. And
I have no shoes.
Great.
In the middle of Montreal.
I love that. Perfect. But that says everything. That says everything, though. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like most artists that do art full time have that That's what I've noticed. Like even all my friends who are really, truly living off their art and not doing side gigs and other things that are purely living off the fact that they are doing their art, just are unapologetically themselves in some way, shape, or form. And like, it doesn't mean that they don't have challenges. It doesn't mean they don't whatever. You know, some of them have more depressing type outlooks on life. I think yours is very positive and very vibrant.
Depends.
It depends on the day, but generally, the general trend of your art is more positive and vibrant. You know, some comedians are more dark.
When something is darker, like my friend are like, "Are you okay?" Because they know.
They know, they know. They know they're reading your journal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's happened?
Yeah. Well, I can imagine that the flow of is that mine? No,
it's fine.
That's fine. I can imagine that there's a flow of so much inspiration that is constantly found by just the world around you rather than other people specifically. I don't know how to say that. Like, what I mean by that is I feel like I'm more motivated by other artists, but I would imagine although you follow other artists, I feel like your motivations come from a deeper place than mine. Like it's almost like you're tapping into a root energy, and a deep primal energy. Do you know
about human design?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm a manifester.
I'm a projector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I learned about that is that we have the flow. But I was talking to a friend about that the other day, and I believe that I'm like connected to kind of a cloud of ideas, because not just for my art, but in general, even for my friends and close people around me. Yeah, I have so much ideas for them, for me. Every day I can have like 10 new ideas for business or for art or for everything. It's like I'm connected to some clouds of ideas.
But you're good at staying like focused on what you do, though.
Yeah.
Because a lot of artists have lots of ideas, but then they also get lost chasing them all.
Oh, sometimes I get lost.
I'm sure.
Oh my God,
I can see pictures of you lost in the forest.
Yeah,
right?
but I don't post everything. But like just this week, okay, I was doing my pyrogravure, like wood burning on wood with my drawing, and after that I was like shaping rocks to make earrings, and after that I was like trying to make flutes with my friend, and like I'm always trying new stuff. A month ago I bought clay to do like sculpture of women inside of them with the rocks and everything. Every time I'm trying like new stuff. This is just like the beginning of the iceberg of my creativity.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see how that's very true. I guess I'm still amazed at how consistent you are with it.
Yeah.
How consistently your art like hits the hammer on the head in that way. I don't know how to explain that, but it's just there's something really beautiful about the way that you do it. It's not even what you do. It's not even the result of what you do, which is like I tend to overvalue that sometimes. Like, oh, okay, they're doing really well on Instagram. Like, let me see more. And then, but there's some people that just like land completely different. Like, it's like, I don't care how well you're doing on anything. It's just like, I see the way you do it having massive impact. And then obviously your results fit that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just reverse to what most people think. Like most people, because I advise a lot of people, there's a lot of entrepreneurs, no, seriously. Like
I know.
I'm very much a teacher in nature.
Yeah.
Right. Which also means I'm very much a student in nature, of course, too. And I would say I'm much more. I hope so. Oh, I am 100%. Yeah. Like as egoic as I might come off to be, or as narcissistic as I might look, I know I'm a fucking idiot, and I know I'm also the kind of person who studies an enormous amount. Yeah. Like it's not for nothing that I know some of these things, if that makes sense, right?
I believe if you want to teach, you need to.
Yes, yeah, and I subscribe to that 100%. Yeah. But when I'm teaching people, like there's a lot of people that are focused so much on themselves that they're like the easiest way to say it is like entrepreneurs tend to focus so much on what the result they want is that they forget about what the result that they're trying to create for their client is. Yeah. That's the first, like, that's a very basic way of saying it.
Yeah. But me, now, the thing that inspired me was the result, like what.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you're reversing engineering that. It's like there was a result that happened in life. There was something you observed in life that now you're just trying to capture. It's like you're capturing lightning in a bottle over and over and over again in a weird way. Whereas other people are trying to capture lightning in a bottle, but they're focused on where the lightning is going to strike rather than like staying in the right place and manifesting the lightning is going to strike right into the bottle. Yeah. Does that make sense? Like it's just a different, most people are approaching it from one direction, you're approaching it from another. And I think that approach it's weird because I believe in it fully, but I stray from it. Yeah. That's why I keep saying it, but it's true. It's like, I 100% know that this is true.
You want to understand it.
Yeah, and I want to try to discern it.
Yeah.
Like part of why I started a podcast was to discern why people do great things, right? It's entrepreneurs, creatives, and influencers. And the reason I focus on those three, and I say freelancers too, but freelancers tend to fall in those other three, is because I'm fascinated by what motivates somebody and how they became one of the world's best at what they do. And for most people, I could figure it out. Like for most people, I'm gonna be like, okay, they had this thing, and then there was that jump here, and they made that thing. It's almost like I'm watching a game of chess, and I can figure it out. But when I look at somebody like you, I can't. It's not that I can't figure it out. I actually know exactly how you did it. Yeah. Energetically. Yeah. But I don't know how you stay in that energetically. That's what I don't know. Yeah. What I can't fully embrace within me is how you stay in that flow state.
I'm anchored within myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only thing I can say.
Is there particular practices that you do that you feel anchor you? Like I know you go out in nature regularly, but but is there the particular things? Point. Yeah. But is there other things?
Because like I don't even do yoga sometimes.
Yeah. I'm the same way.
Yeah, but
that's not that shocking.
A lot of people think that for being spiritual you need to
do yoga. You have to, you drink ayahuasca every week. Yeah.
But no, like the practice that I use every day at all times, actually, and people won't notice it, but it's just coming back to my breathing.
I do notice it. I've noticed it a few times in this podcast.
Yeah, I did it.
Yes. Yeah. I've noticed it a few times in this podcast. Particularly after I said we talked about the present moment and you did it right after that. And you're like, Marc, all you need to do is breathe. And I heard you say it. I heard you do it. Yeah. And then I thought it too, and I was like, yeah, I know you're right. And that's the point.
But the thing I was about to say that for you when you were saying that you sometimes you get tired. Yeah. And something I learned that is really essential for me is that the moment you feel that you're tired, it's because you wasn't present in the moment. Mm-hmm. So the more and more you like bring awareness, the more and more you're gonna feel that energy flowing. You won't be that much tired.
I think it's very wise.
Even in the low state of your, And I know that because sometimes I'm really an empath, and sometimes I feel a lot of emotion with people, and if I stay too, and if I stay too long with people, I'm gonna feel so drowned, but I know that I wasn't present as much as I would love to. That's why I'm like super low after.
Yeah, so you'd say that really your breath work and what you do in breath work is very helpful.
Yeah, it's not even like breath work. Like it's just coming back to see.
Yeah,
it's just
literally tapping in, even for a moment, even for 2 breaths or a breath or whatever, just to get back to, oh yeah, I'm breathing, I'm alive, everything's great.
Exactly. Yeah. And the more you do that in an hour, like imagine, like observe yourself and how much do you do that in a day?
Not a lot.
Not a lot. Like maybe 2-3 times.
Do you
like really consciously?
Like the most I think about my breath, honestly. Yeah. The most I think about my breath is when I take something like this, which is like a small vape pen of some kind, where I'll like think about that feeling.
That's maybe not the best idea.
No, I'm not saying it's a good idea, but I'll think about it.
Yeah.
And it is a conscious choice to try, not always a conscious choice, but in certain moments, it's a conscious choice to be like, relax, just come back. And the problem is that these things become addictive, and then the habit of this becomes addictive. And then this becomes like fucking the Lord of the Rings ring. Like, it's like I literally carry it with me everywhere.
Oh, that's interesting, because now you're saying that the moment you're present with yourself, so it's...
I'm externalizing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's addictive. That feeling of being there and the line is addictive.
Yes.
But using...
I mean, I think there's other moments too. Like
But even me, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, today I wasn't present at all. Because like one time, I got back to my breath.
I'm very present when I'm on camera. Not because I don't care what people think about me. I'm just present. Like, I'm super aware about little details. Like,
but you know what? You said that you were in your heart when you were doing podcasts.
Oh, 100%.
That's why you're present.
Yes. Yeah. And it's also because I'm present to the little tiniest details. Like, okay, I know where the lighting is. I know what camera he's probably on or not on. I know that if I'm telling a story, for me, I would tell the story left to right. Yeah. But my left to right is not their left to right. Yeah. Right? The person who's listening. So I'll go right to left. Yeah. I'll be like, oh, you want to go from here to there? I'll consciously think, but I don't even have to think it so much because it's a flow state where I can just naturally do those things.
I love that because you're really present and you really like incarnate the masculine present right now. Because I'm really like, if I couldn't do your job right now because I'm super ADHD and I'm but you bring back. Oh, okay.
I come back. Yeah. And I know what I'm doing, and I've gotten better at it. You know, some people criticize this and say like, "Well, Marc, you fucking had the guest on and you did half the talking." I'm like, "Yeah, because it's a conversation." That's what it's not about. It's not an interview. I don't want to treat it like an interview. No. Because then it's boring. Exactly. It's also boring to me. Like, you know what I mean? And if it's boring to me, then I'll stop doing it at some point. Yeah. Whereas, like, for me, but part of me actually thinks I maybe should go longer. That I should make these conversations longer because we go further. Well, since it's
conversation, it could be longer.
Well, it could just be as long as whatever amount of time it takes. Yeah. You know? But then my brain comes in and it's like, okay, well, if it's longer, then I have to pay more, and then there's more clips, there's more to process, more, and then I start letting the fabric of posting. I start letting publishing get in the way of creating. Does that make sense? Yes. And I'm like, so when I know. That's why I have to remove myself out of the publishing. And that was a conversation I had with Kyler. It was like, I have to remove myself out of the equation that I should be the person who has to press publish on the art. Yeah. Like, I just want to create the art. I just want to create the dynamic because I'm very creative. Like, I'm not creative this way, but with my words, I'm doing that. Yeah. Like, in my own way. Yeah. Right? Like, I'm finding somebody's heart and bringing them into enroll into something of some belief of some kind. And I'm not saying that belief is in me or in the farm or anything. I'm saying into, like, you can do anything, or you can, like, a belief that it serves them fully for them. And the idea that I can do that with my words and my movement and my presence in certain ways, I know I'm doing it. Like, I know it's working and I can see it working. And in certain moments, just like I would imagine in your art, you can be very present in doing the line, but you can also kind of like know where it's going. Yeah. Right? Like, there's a part of you that even when you're present by drawing a single line, you're already kind of planning or think. It's almost like you've already drawn some of the other ones.
The image is already there.
They're not there. Yes,
Everything is there.
So there's a piece of you that ran into the future and ran back to the moment of drawing the line to get to that future piece that you've already envisioned.
For tattooing, I do a lot of intuitive tattoo, and that's the one I prefer. Like, we do a ritual, we sit, we meditate together, and we just talk. I let the people in front of me just talk. Talk to me about you, what's alive in you in the moment, and I just have an image of something, and it's just in the flow, feeling the energy. And, like, for example, I have a friend. She needed to be really anchored because she was all in her head always. So I had that image of a woman, like, standing straight with all the roots going to the center of the art, and that's what I draw for her as a tattoo, and it was really perfect. I had the image that came.
Yeah. Yeah. So it hit you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a hit. It's an impulse.
It's like a gut. There's something in your gut or in your heart or wherever, somewhere, but it's somewhere in the body, and it kind of it grabs you, and it's like it's here, and then you keep it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you ever find it leaves? Does it ever leave?
Sometimes.
Like, have you ever had a moment where it's like, I got the hit, and if I draw it right now, I can do it, but if I don't draw it right now, I can't?
Yeah. Well, it's, as I said earlier, the cloud.
So the cloud moves and shifts and changes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes you hit like a collective
well, it's back to the lightning in a bottle. Exactly. Yeah. The cloud, it was a great analogy. The cloud and the lightning in a bottle, it's all part of the same ecosystem. Sometimes the cloud is there and it moves and it has some ideas, but those ideas come and go. Yeah. And only some of them come down and get captured into those bottles in the form of lightning. Yeah, exactly. Let's say.
I love that idea because sometimes you like throw the idea back. And you know that somebody
else will take it. Yeah, totally, 100%. Yeah, 100%. I have tons of ideas like that too.
Yeah.
I think I get anxiety from like overthinking, which is, I can end that sentence there. I get anxiety from overthinking, period. But if I want to add more to that sentence, it would be, I get anxiety for overthinking how I would execute ideas. How much energy it takes for me to coordinate a large group of people or a large amount of resources or a large amount of time to make an idea happen sometimes is a little bit overwhelming for me. Because I would imagine that in almost all the tattoos that you do, you start and finish the tattoo in the same day.
Almost, yeah.
See that? Yeah. There's something beautiful about that. Whereas my art is almost never like that.
I know, it's crazy. I don't know how you do that.
Yeah. Nothing I do. Nothing I do starts like and finishes the same day.
All the organization you do and all.
Yeah, but that's why my art feels kind of different. It requires. I can't. I don't want to say I can't. I just have to balance presence and future. Like I have to balance the difference between those different things, and I can't rely on the same things the way that I can in a moment. Like, so for example, if I were going to plan a picnic and I look outside at the sky and the picnic is for today, then it's fine. I look at the sky, there's no clouds. Okay, the picnic's like in an hour, it should be fine. You know what I mean? Whereas if you're planning something well into the future, now I have to start building, okay, what is going to happen if it's perfectly fine? This is plan A, but then there's plan B, C, D, and there's all these things. There's always versions of that are playing out. Yeah. Like at the beginning of the season at the farm, we were supposed to have multiple people being there. And there's one, I won't name somebody, but I really expected this person was showing up every week. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, through whatever thing of their own, they just can't show up anymore. And it has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with anyone at the farm. It just has to do with like what happened in their personal life. But the idea of our ability to like, so how do I plan that? You know what I mean? Like, and then even when I do, and I did plan it properly, now we're a little behind on some of the projects, whereas if that person was there, I don't think we would be as behind. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so what then happens is there's a ripple of impact from one domino falling. There's a few other things that's kind of come out of place, if that also has. Yeah. Like, for example, I wanted to have our first farm table dinner June 24th, Saint-Jean, right? So Saint-Jean in Quebec is a provincial holiday, let's say, for the Québécois, French Québécois. They kind of celebrate Saint-Jean, then we have Canada Day a week after. Point being, I wanted to have that dinner that day. Or I wanted to be ready for a dinner that day. Now we're talking about being ready for July 24th. That's a full month off. Now, in fairness, that's not bad. Like
it's not too bad, yeah.
No, from the scale at which we're playing, we're doing great. But that drastically changes the results at the end of a season. Like if I only do a certain amount of farm table dinners, or if I only do a certain amount of anything, or if I only plant a certain amount of garlic, well, I can only yield that much garlic. And then for that to change, I have to wait an entire year before I can have a different result. Whereas if I were in the business of doing what you do, yeah, maybe I drew this thing and it didn't come out that great, but tomorrow I can draw another one that's
that's fine. For sure that you have a lot more
there's more responsibility in a different way to doing those kinds of things. And I think that that can eat away at me because I feel. So every once in a while, you run into technical difficulties. Every once in a while, you're in a little bit of a flow state. You're in a conversation, and then all of a sudden, dang, somebody calls you, and your iPad goes, and it freaks out, and some stuff goes down. Yeah, we don't edit anything out of this podcast, but we were talking a little bit about how you're a mom, and as a mom, what I find interesting about what you say there is that most people, when they become a mom, what happens is that they shift from a life led by themselves, where the world revolves around you, in a sense. Some people more than others, some people more egoic than others, for sure. But let's say a world where everything is about you, to a world now that where everything is about you and your children. And some people go all the way to it's all about my children. Yeah. And I feel like you have a very interesting balance between those two things. But most people, when they shift into the world about their children, or now taking into advantage, consideration other people, they tend to act with more fear.
Yeah.
Period. Because they feel like they need more money, or they need more resource, or or they start to give reasons why they're tired, why they're this, why they can't. Oh, well, I would love to go to nature, but my kid goes to school, and I have to drive them to school. So what do you say to that person? What do you say to a mom? Because you're doing a phenomenal job of being a mom and also being a free spirit. Yeah.
Well, when I became a mom, the thing that I really decided was that I wouldn't change. I would be myself, and I will bring him everywhere. Because I realized that first, a child only needs your love. That's the only thing that he needs. Mm-hmm. And we live in a world where money is so important, and we need that for him, that bed, that thing, that stuff to play, and
video game, whatever it is.
But they don't need anything of that. They only need your presence and your love. And when you're outside with them, like for real, being a mom and being in the forest with my son is like so easy. It's so easy and so peaceful for me to be a mom in the forest and like living in the wild with him and just traveling and everything, because he just play with everything, and he's so sociable. Mm-hmm. He says hi to everyone. It's crazy.
It's almost like you've told me stories that he literally doesn't understand. It's almost like he doesn't even understand that, for example, when you're out in nature, he goes to the bathroom anywhere, right? And you literally told me stories, and I'm going to put you on the spot on this one, where you lived
he pooped on the kitchen.
Exactly.
Outside at the farm.
I know. He'll just
no, you can't do that.
Right in the middle of like a group of people, or in the middle of like a walkway.
Grass.
Yeah.
I know.
And in his mind, it's just like he's literally just nature is everywhere. Yeah. Which is beautiful. Mm-hmm. Now, does he go to, like, when I say normal school, does he go to a traditional school?
He's not at school yet. Okay. He's at daycare, but he's Montessori.
Okay. So Montessori schools.
It's a special school.
Okay.
He learns French, English, and
nature. They do more.
Yeah,
they
and
teach life skills.
It's more
real
like
life skills.
How to be sovereign.
Yeah.
Like they have choice to where they want to play and everything.
What they
it's really nice. Yeah. Yeah.
So he goes to Montessori school. Mm-hmm. Where is that? Is
that Bazaar.
Okay. Really? I didn't know they had one there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, so being a mom and just choosing to bring my son everywhere. So, example, we are at the farm, we are making a fire, it's Saturday. I won't say like, okay, I need to go back because
it's his bedtime and then.
And usually the kids will just follow you.
Yeah.
They're going to follow your lead, and they're going to follow the life that you show them. And for them, it's going to be their normal.
Yeah. I feel like everywhere in the world kind of does that, except for North America and Europe. Yeah. Like, honestly, the Western world doesn't really do that. Mm-hmm. But when you look at, like, places like in Asia, that's more common. Now, in Asia, sometimes it's like, oh, well, my kid's going to come and they're going to work. And that's more of a poverty thing in certain cases. Even in Central or South America, that's true too. Mm-hmm. Or in Africa or whatever too. But they're also more integrated into the community. They're not treated like just children. They're not treated like everything needs to be safe all the time. Yeah. They're not treated where, you know, there always has to be an adult who has their eyes on you kind of thing. And there has to be a fence, and that fence everything has to be approved within that fence, and there could be no wild anything.
Yeah, in Morocco, it's like you go in the bled where the villages, you go outside and you can see like all those children. You're like, whose
child is that?
Whose child is that? I don't know this one. And it's normal. But it's the same thing. Like in Morocco, women are gonna breastfeed like for 2 years. The child is gonna be like sleeping with them, and it's super normal. But here again,
everything is about a product. Yeah. How do we sell you a product or a service?
Yeah.
Either
and
daycare.
How can your child can become
that
product too?
No? Oh, that's deep. Yeah, I have to repeat that. How can your child become the product? What you mean by that is, how can your child fit the box to eventually be this worker or the good little boy or girl that follows the path or does this and plays a productive role in society or blah, blah, blah.
And for a child, like until they are like 6, 7 years old, they're really connected to themselves, to their light, you know, to their soul. And the moment they get into the system, it's where the
soul ends.
Yeah.
It seems, or it starts to dim.
La brisure.
Yeah. The first day is almost like a trauma.
Yeah. It is. Because they don't have a choice. They got to get into the box. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I think there's a part of me that I think I've watched. I don't have that many friends who have kids, like personally, but I do watch, you know, I meet parents and I see families and I see people, and I just see so many adults just get completely lost when they have kids.
Yeah. But there's so much love. People does the best that they can as they know.
Yeah.
You know?
And I'm not saying they're not loving parents, but they just lose themselves.
Yeah.
They're just like, they're just playing the role of passing on the torch to the next generation in a weird way. Almost like, you know, and maybe that's the point of life, is just to live and then pass it on to the next generation. But I don't know. It feels like there's more for me than that. Like it's that end maybe for me. You know what I mean? Like there's still a bigger vision or mission that lives in me that part of me feels afraid that if I were to have a kid that would cause so much chaos in my calendar that would ruin me. But the other part of me is like, well, actually, maybe that's the best thing that could possibly happen.
But for me, it was the best thing that happened for me. Like I didn't have the idea that I would be a mom really when I got pregnant. I don't know. It was really like a soul urge when I met his dad.
Okay.
It was like, I need to get pregnant. I didn't know why, but I really wanted a child. And at that moment when I gave birth, that's the moment where I really felt that connection here, and everything changed in my world. And for me, you know, you were talking about like how child are like product and everything, but for me, he's my biggest guru. My son, he's my biggest mentor, and he's my biggest teacher of all times. The moment he came here, I was humbled. Like
I think a lot of parents do experience something like that. Yeah. But I don't think they channel it as creatively as you do. Meaning, I don't think they deal with it that well. Yeah. Like they are constantly being humbled, but not all of them can say that. Some of them are just saying like, he's kicking my ass, like he's keeping me up at night. Nah. Like they'll say it in another way, ironically. Yeah. But you just take the positive out of that. Like I'm sure you've had many sleepless nights because your kid
I
wakes
didn't
up in the
sleep
middle
for
of
like 2 years.
I believe it. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah. It's part of the process, I would imagine. Whereas I'm so self-centered, just fully honest about it. All right, I'm just so goddamn self-centered that it feels like it's the most confronting piece of it would be the fact that it feels like it could completely disrupt some of my own flow. But I also acknowledge that it would also change my flow. That it would
change your flow, but it really let you grow so much. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah. So for now, I'm just a plant dad.
A plant that
The farm is all the plants that I've.
some plant here. Yeah.
I've got it going on. I've got a lot of plants in my name. I've got a lot of plants under my belt.
Okay, you can't say that the farms.
No, well, I planted a lot of plants at the
Yeah.
farm. Of all the people who planted a lot of things at the farm, I planted a lot of things at the farm, specifically fruit trees, berry bushes, things that stay for a long time. Like some, in terms of number of plants, maybe Stefan, definitely Stefan has planted more than I have because he does annuals and certain things. So he's constantly planting like rows of, lots of different things.
You're a good dad.
Thank you. I'm okay. I actually don't feel like I'm a great farmer at all, but I'm good at constantly keeping the vision and doing certain, like there's certain things I do really well and that works. It works for me.
Yeah.
Does it work for like the my ability to package the product and take it and make it commercialized? No, but I'm not doing it for that.
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful, like that's why our farm is different.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's just different. I don't know of another farm that people show up to the way they show up at our farm. Mm-mm. I mean, there's like some eco villages or some places where that exists, but very consistently the way, particularly in Quebec, particularly here, like the way that the energy that this place has, it feels like you're on vacation. Like it feels like you're not in Montreal when you're at the farm. It's just
100%.
a different. And I'm not saying and I'm glad that you acknowledge it because it's not just my thought. It's really just another. We do not have this culture of saying hi to people in the same way we do at the farm. We do not have a culture
No,
here
but
in
it's
Montreal.
family, it's home, it's community. But that's the thing. That's why I was first brought to
the farm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you also knew some people that had helped found it. You knew, you had heard of, I guess, about the farm in some way, shape, or form.
By Vivian, yeah.
Yeah. Some things good, some things bad. I'll take that. I think there has to be some bad things. Like there has to be some things that didn't work in certain moments. That's how we grew.
But that's how you learn.
Exactly. That's it. I've royally fucked up multiple times at the farm. And part of what I'm doing today might be wrong or not historically correct. You know what I mean? But the idea of where I think the feeling that I have starting last season and now this season has drastically shifted the way that the farm feels now. Yeah. This season specifically is like wow, we're onto something in a whole new way.
We can feel it.
Yeah, I feel it. And it feels good for me. It feels like
I love that everyone has ideas and want to contribute, and everyone is like,
yeah, everyone wants to do something.
Yeah,
yeah, we all feel called to making something happen.
Exactly. But I think that the COVID area and all for the last 2 years, people has been so isolated,
broken and isolated by it.
Exactly, and just the feeling of family. Is so precious right now. Yeah.
So where do you go from here in your artistic journey?
In my art,
yeah.
Right now,
like what do you feel like? Are there some big visions, or are there some cloud ideas that you're waiting with the lightning bottle ready to capture them? Like, where do you feel like you might be headed? Are there certain skills you want to learn or places you want to go?
Well, I am working on 2 books.
Okay.
I'm working on a book for more sexuality, sacred sexuality, with poems and everything.
Okay.
I'm almost done. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and I have another one for kids, actually. And it's like my alter ego, but younger.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, because my son had difficulty to go to sleep at night.
Okay.
He was really scared.
Okay.
So I began to write a book about the world of dreams.
And
how we travel and that he's safe and everything. Yeah. So I made.
And so you made, is it a book? Is it a picture? Obviously there's some drawings and pictures, but it's also like a story, like a written story?
Yeah.
In French?
In French and English.
In French and English.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm working with Kevin on a tarot.
Yeah.
Oracle
cards. Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing.
That's exciting. Really. And I've been singing a lot. Been connecting more and more with my singing and music with the flutes and instruments.
The flutes are amazing. You're an amazing flute player.
Thank you.
Yeah. The second you showed up with all the flutes and everything, I was like, okay, she's like a lost sister. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're just like, it's funny because I have this feeling sometimes at the farm. It's called Valhalla. For those who don't know, that comes from a Norse Viking background, right? And so every once in a while, it's like there's certain little moments, almost like deja vu moments, where you like, it's almost like the Matrix glitches, and then it's like I see you in like some Viking life. All of a sudden, it's just like, whoa! I was like, oh wait, like I've seen you before, and it was in like one of those Viking pasts. And I feel like I have a couple of pasts. Like I have a past where I was like I was an Italian again, but in like Rome.
Another time Italian.
Yeah, I was Italian. Yeah,
you've been an Italian for a long time.
Yeah, I've been an Italian a few times. But I was also a Viking in one of my lives, or at least that's how I feel about it. And maybe that's just me living into it. But point being, there's certain people I meet that I'm like, you were in that life with me. And so that particular life is the one where I feel like I've met the most amount of people. Like in this life, from that life, I've reconnected with the most amount of people. And the second I saw your flute and like you come out with the flute, I was like, oh, I had like some of those glitch-like moments.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Nice.
like even when you were sitting, I can think of a few times you were sitting around the fire and you were just drawing, and I could see you like just kind of.
Oh, that moment, I know.
You know exactly what moment it is.
You came to talk to me about your tattoos that time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So there's different moments where that has like become a reality of sorts, and I feel like that. I don't know. It's so funny to think that like you just see people in those moments, and there's like little details like the flute and the way when you played a song. I was like, wow, like okay, yes, like I can.
It's really like a memory.
It is like a memory.
Yeah.
It's not even just like a. You know, I think sometimes like there's a difference between you painting something into the future where you're like, oh, maybe I can create this with you, or we can go to this other place. Like that's like planning or I don't know, manifesting. That's one thing. But then there's like literally memories, like moments from some place that is not my current life that inherently feel incredibly familiar.
Yeah.
And just completely unexplainable. But then you can kind of like start to feel who was those people. And I feel like my whole journey with Valhalla is, you know, it's about building a 150-person community. I can tell the story. Yeah. I'm not going to do that right now. Point is, I feel like I'm just looking for those 150 Vikings.
Yes.
Like I'm literally just looking for like Viking after Viking after Viking where I'm going to have that moment where I'm like, oh, you're one of them. You know what I mean?
I love that.
And in between that, like I might, you know, you entertain other people in this life in a different way, but I'm just like waiting for those like all little people. Yeah. And I know that has happened a few times. Like I had a very similar with Bo. Bo is another one, you know, that you know, for example, or Vivian is another, of course, obviously. There's many I can.
But with Bo, I had the same feeling too.
Yeah. Stefan is another, obviously, for me. Yeah. Germ is another. There's many people in my life that are all part of those things. And it's not because I'm just close to them now and therefore I've built that thing. It's like, no, I've seen you like on a battlefield or around a fire or, you know, in a
just
boat.
When I came here today.
Yeah. You mentioned the hallway.
But for real, my vision of coming to your house was that a hallway. I was walking, I was like, exactly, I'm here. But you never posted a picture of it.
I've never posted a picture of the hallway, no.
So I had to be there.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, is there anything that you want to leave people with, right? Somebody's watching this, number one, they know where to find the links. All those links are down in the description, all those different things. If you want to find her art, by all means, check it out. Just go follow her on Instagram right now because you know you want to. Her art is going to radiate into your life. But for real, is there anything is there like a leaving or a parting message that you want to leave people with?
A leaving message.
Just anything that's on your heart or anything that's coming up.
Just to live your heart. Yeah, that's it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love how even the idea of living your heart includes the word art.
Yeah.
Right? And I know it's super cheesy, but it's super, but it's 100% true. It really is the truth. Like that.
It's always cheesy when you say that. I'll get to your heart and go in your heart, go in your heart. But it's the point.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole point for me. Everything is there.
Well, you're doing a phenomenal job at it. I'll say that.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know where the links are. And if you haven't already hit subscribe, you got all the way to the end of this podcast, which means you loved it. It means you kind of had a good time. You had something that was enjoyable in this podcast. So that means that you could take just 10 more seconds, leave a comment, leave a like, do something like that. You know where the links are, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you in the next episode.